I am so pumped to have the crew, cast, everyone here with the film Daruma, who is definitely the chatter and the buzz with Slamdance this year. So thank you all for coming, for giving me your time. And I'm excited to dive into both the process, the story, and everything in between for you guys. So I want to start with Kelly. Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Kelly and I have been following each other for about 5 years or so on Instagram. The power of social media.
Never met though until today.
And now we feel like we're best old friends.
She's amazing. This is like, oh my God.
Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God. We're gonna have a moment.
Sorry.
So what are you hoping that people really take away with the film at the experience?
So we have been in a fortunate position where people have just taken a natural interest in this film because of the subject matter. But I think what's really surprising with people is when they get in it, like they come out like feeling like you'll feel the energy when you come out of the screening tomorrow. Like it's almost effervescent when people come out of this. It does have, this very satisfying ending of the film. But I really want people to take away the idea that, you can tell an authentically cast story that doesn't have to be like pedantic and tropey, and it's about people living their lives. And I'm so lucky to have some of the cast here today too. I wish Tobias Force could be here, but he's coming to the Salt Lake screening.
Fabulous.
So Toby will be there. But this is a dream come true. On our social media 2 years ago, we were actually filming the movie. So we're actually getting a lot of reminders, on our memories. It's like, oh, you were doing this 2 years ago. And we said to ourselves as a team, we were like, we're going to screen in Park City. We're going to do this.
You called your shot.
We manifested this. And I feel like that's kind of been the whole thing with this movie. Like, you can just see it with all of us. Like it is not just a film. It is something. And like there's so many organizations who have supported us, just whether that's reposting or just, giving us their endorsement. We got a shout out from Jim Lebrecht the other day. Jim Lebrecht, he was part of Crip Camp, and that to me was like, oh, it's like, oh my God, Jim. It's amazing. So I really want people to come away from this feeling like, wow, that was a really good movie.
And what do you feel like it was? Do you feel like it's the acting? Feel like it's the story? What is it about this film that has such an energy?
Can I let my husband take that one? Because he is the director of the film.
Yeah, let's hear from your point of view.
I think the thing that makes the film truly special is that it's a normal film. It's not something that's trying to be really out there or experimental. Like, it's a buddy road trip dramedy. Like it's two guys who don't like each other, who find out they like each other, and a little girl in a car driving across the country and like dealing with their issues. And it just happens to star two guys who have a disability in real life and play those characters on screen, and it has nothing to do with that. And you talk about what you want people to take away. I just want people to get to the end of the movie and have been on the emotional journey with these people and not think about the disability anymore. They're just like, I know what that feels like, and I feel that too. That's what I want people to take away.
It's the person. It's not this whole drummed up inspiration thing about living with a disability.
Definitely not. You're actually gonna like really dislike the lead for a bit. I think people are really surprised. I think that there's been a certain expectation when it comes to this type of a narrative that you have this either like angelic sort of, altruistic person with a disability, or it's the villain character or something like that. You don't have somebody that's just like kind of sitting in their feelings, and like there's a lot of emotions that like go through this. And we were talking to another interviewer today. He goes, wow, he was like, those first 15 minutes were a misdirect. And we were like, basically, yeah. So you get in there and you think you're watching one kind of a narrative, and then by the end of it, like, I've seen grown men cry leaving the theater. I'm just saying. So it's a journey. It's an emotional journey.
So it's based on a true story.
It is not based on a true story.
Oh, it's not based on a true story.
Based on a true story. No. I was inspired to write this because a relative of mine was injured, and I suddenly started to notice that the world was very inaccessible. And to top that off, media portrayals about persons with disability all told the same story of it was better to be dead than living with a disability. And I just thought, we could do better.
We can do a lot better.
We can do a lot better.
We can do a lot better.
So, yeah. This was the first piece of writing that I let Alex, who is my husband now, if anybody doesn't know that, this was the first piece of my writing that I let him read. And I actually wrote the first draft of this in 2008. And it sat in a drawer for years, and I finally got comfortable enough with him, and I said, he asked to read something of mine because he's the director and DP, and if you're going to work, in a or in a relationship, and you've got a co-creative, like, I want to see what this is about. So I let him read it, and I kind of ran away to the other room because, like, I don't like watching myself perform. I actually don't like letting other people read my words. It's I don't know. It's an artistic thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what that's about.
Vulnerable.
It's vulnerable. Yeah, that's a good word for that. But I 5 minutes into it, I hear him like just burst out laughing from the other room, and I run in and I'm like, "What is so funny?" And he's like, "This is hysterical." I'm like, "This is a drama." I'm like, "What is wrong?" And he's like,
"Are you reading the right one?"
Yeah, I was like, "This is a drama," and he goes, "No, this is a dark comedy." And he's like, "What are you going to do with this?" And I said, I really don't know. Every person that I've talked to about making it has said, "I really like the script, but who are you going to cast?" And I wanted to cast authentically. And everyone was just kind of like, at that point, kind of hands off. And Alex said to me, and mind you, this was before he proposed. So he really, he's had a lot with us. He said, "I'll direct it." He said, "We'll find a way to make it." And he's like, "I'll direct it." And I was like, "Okay, I will hold you to that." And we're here. We're here.
I love this moment. So I want to now kind of transition then to John. And you said you've been working in the industry for 35 years.
As a double amputee.
Wow. And I feel like this, even just writing in 2008, feels like it's ahead of its time, right? We're ahead of this like inclusion revolution that we're kind of upon. Give me your experience of where we are and where we need to go.
Well, I was a trained actor before I got hurt, and I lost my hands in an electrical accident. Next month will be 36 years ago. So 36 years ago, I thought, okay, this is a bad thing to happen, but here I am, a trained actor with no hands. There'll be plenty of roles for me. Little did I know that wasn't the case.
You're a category of one.
Yes. And after, for 35 years, I joined this group of of performers with disabilities, and realized that they aren't. So I became an advocate. So for the past 35 years, I've worked real hard to be an advocate for people with disabilities in front of and behind the camera. And my manager and agent called and said, "Hey, there's this breakdown for a guy with no hands. Do you want to do it for a double amputee?" And I go, "Yeah," because it was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Yeah.
And nearly, over 35 years of acting, I'd never seen a breakdown for a double amputee. So that's how we met, and that's how I became involved. So I was drawn to it after I got to read the script because of the storyline, because it didn't deal with disability. And as Kelly related, most of the films we see on television are inspirational. Oh, look, this guy has to help this poor guy in a wheelchair open a door or do whatever. And, we realize that films about disability touch hearts and win awards. Because if you look at it historically, since the Oscars, I think out of 61 Oscars given, out of the beginning of it, over 27 Oscars have been given to actors playing a role with a disability, but only 3 of them have been authentically cast. So and since the beginning of the Oscars in 1936 or 26, 18% of every Oscar given has been given to an able-bodied person playing a role that's disabled. So the film Disability touches hearts, win awards, but not authentically. Less than 2% of all the characters in film and television last year were cast were written with a disability. And the Rudderman Foundation did a report that said, out of that, 95% of those roles are done by able-bodied actors.
You see, I'm gonna add to this, John. So there was a UCLA study. So there's a great program at UCLA about their disability studies, and they did a report that said in 2022 the disability representation was virtually left out of film and television. So, and that's kind of sad because there was some progress that had been made like pre-pandemic. Like there was an inclusion letter that was sent out, by the Rudderman Foundation. Respectability has been making waves, with all of their initiatives behind the scenes to work, both with actors and writers and producers, in front of and behind the camera. And then to have that report come out was kind of like, oh gosh, we've backslid. But so now with Slamdance, there's the Unstoppable block, and this is the first of its kind. To have a film festival like this, to actually have a block of films that are, they're for, by, and about persons with disabilities. And I don't know of any other film festivals that are doing anything like this right now. So we feel extremely lucky to be here. And you don't know if you're ever going to get into a festival like this. Like this festival takes like less than 1% of their films.
Wow.
So you don't know. We've been rejected from festivals. We've had our shares of ups and downs. So again, like to kind of call back to like the vision that this festival has. Like we're extremely lucky to be here.
Yeah. Everything was just so synchronistic on
really
the timing
was.
of how it came together.
It really was.
So originally these roles were written as one a wheelchair user, and one as a double amputee.
Always.
That is always how it was written.
Always how it was written.
And why did you have any? You said your was it your family member that had been injured?
Yeah.
And so having that authentically cast was so big.
When I was in college, I studied some Asian art history, and I don't really talk about this part of it very much because it kind of goes into the lore of like the underlying themes about the Daruma doll. And people ask what a Daruma doll is. A Daruma doll is a Japanese luck doll. And when you get one, I'm wearing one that John gave me.
I put one on my press pass.
When you get one, you're supposed to make a wish and color in one eye. And when your wish comes true, you color in the other eye. And the symbol and the determination that goes along with, or the symbol and the saying that goes along with the Daruma doll is fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I just could not think of like, a better title for this. But also there was this really horrible, ugly painting that I studied when I was in college. And it was by a guy named Sesshu Toyo in the Muromachi period. And I know this is getting really deep into the weeds here, but it depicted the Bodhidharma. And I don't know if anybody is very into Buddhism or that symbology. But the Bodhidharma founded Zen Buddhism, and the legend is that he meditated in a cave for 9 years, and his limbs fell away because he had no need for them anymore. And that's the shape of the Daruma doll.
Oh.
And there was a student named Ika who wanted so badly to study with him that he severed his own arm. And this is what the painting displays. And it's really ugly.
My God.
It's really ugly. But he presents it to the Daruma, and he wakes him from his trance. And he's like, please let me study with you. And the Daruma turns him away because he's like, you have missed the point. So to me, it's the story about like letting go of the things that are holding us back, and especially from like an emotional standpoint. So you'll see it in each of the characters, and the Daruma doll does pop up in the script. So I will tell you, like, if you're watching this, there's a tattoo, and it's something that John's character gets. And John's character is a veteran. Actually, both of the leads are veterans, because we wanted to make sure that we actually gave a shout out to our military service people who deal with PTSD and things like that. So. John's character had been stationed over in Asia, and that symbol really resonated with him. So he does have one in there. So I don't want any spoilers, but that's kind of the impetus in the origin stories. It was this melding of an idea of letting go of things.
Well, that's probably why it's sticking with people so much.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, even just like hearing that part, you go into your own kind of idea and your own story of like, what are those things that we do need to let go.
Well, a good thing about the script was, and Kelly's heard me say it before, is each character is multidimensional, and they have an arc from beginning to end. And whether it's a character without a disability or a character with a disability, none of it figures in. The disability doesn't figure in unless you want to figure it's an emotional disability, and that's what it is 2 guys who are dealing with an emotional disability, what today we would call PTSD, and my character, and him seeing some mistakes that the younger character makes. And you'll find out, without giving anything away, that there's a little twist along the way that add to the story, that there's this B story and a C story that you don't realize until it all comes together in the end.
The other thing I'll add, because you were asking about the characters originally being written as a double arm amputee and a wheelchair user, the original Toby being a para.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I don't know. You'll have to tell me later what you wanted me not to say.
The nudge. What's the nudge?
The original Patrick, the character, was originally written as being paraplegic, and Toby, the actor, is a quad. And he gave such an impressive, such a moving performance in his audition that we worked with him to rewrite the character for the specifics of his physicality to make the movie work for him, and that was, it was redesigning a role around an actor rather than trying to shoehorn him into something that wasn't going to feel natural and authentic and real on camera.
I think that's amazing.
I thought he was going to go into a spoiler. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted, Abby, you haven't said anything else.
Yeah, I want to come over to Abigail.
Who are you?
What
are you doing here?
I'm just here enjoying my coffee in this conversation.
I got the total pleasure of meeting and chatting with you earlier, and it sounds like you are really in this from an emotional point of view, as well as you've got some letting go going on in your own life. So let's hear about your experience with the film.
So I jumped in to help fund the film in probably the 11th hour, I think, because I had continued to see it on social media. Alex has been a friend of mine for almost a decade, and I've always enjoyed his work. I think he's a visionary, and I think he chooses pieces that are truly special and that are groundbreaking. And I have a niece who passed away in 2019 who was born physically and developmentally disabled. She passed away at the age of 16. However, she was not thought to survive much past about 2 years old, but she made it to 16. And I did it for her. I wanted that representation to be present for her. I feel like stories like hers get put in the shadows, and people are afraid of what's different and what they don't understand. And there's a gorgeous scene in the film where his character is eating a burger, and the little girl, who's played by the luminous Victoria Scott, starts imitating the way that he's eating, and Toby's character gets upset. It's lovely because it's real. Children they don't know. They just ask questions, and his character's like, why can't she ask questions? She doesn't know. Let's tell her. And it's just that irreverence, and just, it's okay to ask questions and not know the answer. So I came into it, basically cold, and was so taken with it, and ended up being brought on as an actor. Again, not expecting that outcome, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity because
Abby.
it was such a departure from how I am typically cast. And I'm grateful that they were able to see me in that light and see me as the actor and with the capabilities that I see myself having and the versatility that I see myself having, and not getting pigeonholed. It was very freeing and very fun, and I got to play and just have a wonderful time. It's a beautiful human story.
That feels like the theme right there, is to just feel seen.
Mm-hmm.
To feel so seen for who we are, the people that we are, not this difference, but the beauty of us as humans.
Yes.
And I think that that's what people crave regardless of a disability. They crave that. And I do love that you bring up the children. I'll never forget, this one little boy walks by with his mom and he goes, why does she get to use that? And he
That's
was
amazing.
like so jealous
See?
of this wheelchair. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. So they have just this innocence about it.
Yes.
And that's the innocence that I feel like is beautiful. And it feels like that everyone feels really
let's
seen.
open minds. You know, it's wonderful. And they are, I mean, we talked earlier about being boy moms and just that almost rabid curiosity that they have.
Yes.
And I love being able to answer their questions. I fail more often than not and don't give the right answers, but it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing that we get to do.
Just to open up.
After
They'll
being
explore that in therapy at some point.
after being an amputee for 36 years like you, it's not something I can hide. So kids always come up. And the one thing I've noticed, and we're kind of getting down the weeds here, but is that kids have a natural curiosity. They go, what is that on the end of your arms? Adults have a morbid curiosity. They want to go, what happened to you? You know, how did you get like that? And so with kids, I stop and talk and take all day. With adults, I go, you know, I have my answers.
I've seen him do it.
You should see the other guy.
John, you thank you, no.
Yeah, you know, you have to talk to my ex-wife. That's all I can say. Multiple. Yeah, I have 2 ex-wives. So
John was typecast, in case you couldn't tell. He's like the cantankerous neighbor, in case you
Perfect.
in case you
It's
can tell.
perfect.
No, he and Toby's dynamic is just phenomenal. And
well,
sweet.
it
It's
was
like-
interesting.
cannot wait to see this.
And when we auditioned, Toby and I live close to each other, and we've been friends for over 20 years. And we read for each other when we're doing video or rehearsing or whatever. So I got the audition for the double amputee, and I went to Toby to read for me. And I go, you should totally do this. And as Alex brought it, because I'm a quad, this is for a para, they'll want me to do a bunch of things. I go, dude, let them make the determination, not you. He goes, well, I don't have a script. I go, we'll just turn the camera around, read against me what you did. And I don't exactly remember, but there were 2 scenes, one where I'm mad at him, and then one where we're friends, sort of the end of the thing. And, you know, this whole big arc. And so we both end up getting callbacks, and I asked him, could we read together? And I think the friendship that we had 20 years came through more than just acting like you're mad at somebody. And I think that was genuine, and that's where we got cast.
I think that's amazing. And I think that, you know, as we kind of wrap this up, I almost want this to be the push for those with disabilities to not let that hold you back to auditioning for the roles that maybe aren't so written for you. And that's roles of any kind in life, not just film, but roles of parenting, roles of owning a business, roles of everything. Like, what is that role that
Look at Ali
you
Stroker
are literally
in
holding?
Oklahoma on Broadway.
Ali Stoker,
Who won?
She's
who won a
incredible.
Tony?
now a
Incredible.
children's
Love her. She's become a dear friend too.
Oh,
She's,
really?
Ali's a good
she's
friend.
incredible.
I
She
love
was
her.
almost going to come to our New York screening.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she couldn't make it.
She's amazing.
No, she's
and her
amazing.
cute little
I've-
pumpkin
I've-
baby, and
Oh my
it's just so yes.
Her
all
baby
these
is adorable.
roles
P.S. Oh my
is
God,
so-
he is the
that
cutest. He has like
big
duck
old
hair. I
head.
cannot.
He's so
the duck
cute.
fuzz hair. Anyway, that's another.
darling.
It's another conversation.
But I want to finish up because Peter Farrelly came on as one of your executive producers. I mean, come on. But his quote that I saw was, "It's my favorite film about disability because it's not about disability."
Yes.
And I realize this conversation has been about disability, but it's because the conversation needs to no longer be
Yes.
about
Wow.
disability.
Exactly.
That is profound. Wow.
So thank you guys
Thank
for
you,
shining such a
Sarah.
really real light. Thank you for
Aw.
letting people feel seen. Thank you for seeing each other. There's clearly a family dynamic, clearly a loving dynamic, and now even hearing about your relationship with Tobias and like all that coming together, I just think it's
I
absolutely
hope you get to
incredible.
meet him. He is so
I
much
hope you
fun.
get to meet him too. I hope you can come on Wednesday.
Yes.
So I'll make sure that happens if you want.
Thank you so much.
You have my number. So.
Yes.
Also, that's
I
indie
gotcha.
film. Like that's like there's no other art form where, you know,
It's an
maybe the
instant
circus,
family.
where like a group of artists who have different skill sets come together and become a family.
And every circus needs a ringmaster.
Yeah, and that's
Oh my
yeah.
Lord, this
And
one.
she's holding every single hat, every
yeah.
single ring,
Yeah, she's got
every
the
single
tailcoat.
yoga
She's a
mat.
coat rack.
She's
The
got it
tailcoat,
all.
the top hat, the
She's
whole
got it all.
shebang.
And the whip when
Sarah,
she needs it.
Sarah, you know,
Yeah, that too.
in case the audience hasn't known this yet, and so and this may be the best way to close out the interview. So before Mr. Farrelly joined, I knew that we needed to kind of stand out at Park City. So I began to put together gift bags, and I have a background in marketing and PR. So I was asking everyone that I knew if they would put some stuff in the bag, and I got a couple of yeses. But as soon as Peter said yes, and that actually got picked up on CNN. So CNN broke that news, which is amazing. For an indie film, that's incredible. We have had tens of thousands of dollars in goods donated for our gift bags. So every single person coming to both screenings is going to get this incredible swag bag worth hundreds of dollars. There's a teeth whitening kit, there's a yoga mat, there's a hoodie, there's candy, snacks, like there's facial products. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. Like I gave,
balm.
there's lip balm.
We got
there's
it all.
The Park City Survival Kit.
Park City Survival.
Because
Pack.
these brands are smart. They want to hitch their star to this wagon and go, you know what?
This is-
Yes,
yeah.
it's time.
So it's like
it's awesome.
It's really interesting to be like kind of leading the way a little bit. Like I don't know what's going to happen after the festival. You know,
What do you want to happen? Because it sounds like you're pretty good at manifesting so far. So why don't we just kind of throw that shot out there? What do we want to happen?
I want an acquisition. That's what I want. I want an acquisition, and I want a limited theatrical with this film, and I want everyone in America to know its name and to see these people and to see this story and to see what it's about. That's what I want.
And I agree with her, but there's a Michelle Obama quote, the former First Lady. She said, for a lot of folks, what they see on television is all they know about people that are different from them. And that's sort of paraphrased, but that's what I hope, that people see this and they find out that a guy with no hands can be a poo-poo head.
Yeah, well, we know that, John.
It's a quote from the film.
That
That's
is
from the film.
that is from the film. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so
I'm
much,
so glad
Sarah.
that you
Oh my
called your
God.
shot. This has
Thank
been an
you.
absolute pleasure. I wish you guys the best of luck. Anything I can do to support it,
Oh,
I'm
thank
your
you,
number
Sarah.
one
You're
fan.
amazing.
Thank you
Oh my
so
God.
much.
Thank you guys
Thank
too.
you
Thank
guys.
you.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys.
Thank you.